Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. This is Lynn with Plasma Energy Solution. Thank you. And to start off with, I'll remind you that our website is plasmaenergysolution.com. And when you go to that website, we have a lot of videos, we have blogs, we have testimonials, we have frequently asked questions, we have free reports, and on the free reports you do have to put in your email for each report, but that's all you have to do. Then you can access the free report, and we have several of those. And so I encourage you to look at the information on the website because there is a lot of information there for you. Today I want to talk about wintertime wellness and wintertime viruses. And I don't know how things are where you live. I'm in a very wintry area, and years ago somebody that Dr. Paul worked with had been a researcher first before he went into veterinary practice, and he talked about the fact that viruses liked the cold. So, you know, that tends to be why you see more viruses in outbreaks in the winter. And I want to talk about some of the information you may or may not be getting of things that are going on outside of our country. And right now what's going on is the CDC here in the U.S., a top official named Dr. Anne Schuchat is warning U.S. hospitals to get prepared for a wave of virus infections. And she says a larger spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus across the U.S. could overwhelm emergency rooms and cause supply shortages of some crucial medical supplies. This is the time to open up your pandemic plans and see that things are in order. So those are some of the things that she had to say. And let's talk about that. Things have shut down in several areas where there was a lot of manufacturing done. Now, maybe they're going to reopen, and hopefully they'll reopen soon. But when there's a shutdown in this country, we rely on instant, or not instant, but rapid delivery systems. And you certainly see that with a lot of the online shopping you can do, but you also see it at your local box stores, your local big stores like, say, Walmart and Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, as well as a lot of your local pharmacy chains. And that instant delivery means, and your local grocery store, that means we're used to seeing plenty of things on the shelves. We're not used to seeing empty shelves. We're not used to seeing things that aren't there in plentiful supply. So what happens when there's a slowdown, and let's just say we have plenty to work with here, but what happens if all your packaging comes from overseas and you can't get it in a timely manner? Now all of a sudden everybody has to scramble to deliver products to the marketplace. And that's something I'm certainly mindful about because, as you know, in the summertime, and this is all packaged up and ready to send, we send the wrapped 16 glass vials for the Plasma Energy Station. But where do these vials come from? All right. People are used to having plenty of containers, plenty of plastic or glass containers. And as you can see, when we're making the GANs, here's a container that's cancer, and it's a mason jar. Well, it's actually a ball jar, ball and mason both do these types of jars. And here's one that's Winter Wellness, okay? And here's one that's a repurposed jar that's NuTech Frequency Relief. And I just realized these may not be in camera range. So I'm repurposing a lot of jars that when I can. And one of the things I've been able to do is find jars like this at the thrift store. And then what an issue becomes is not all these jars come with lids. Well, here we go again. Here's a plastic lid that makes everything work better for me. Here is the plastic spray bottle that I'm so fond of using. Here's the glass vial in the bottom of the spray bottle. Here are the wintertime 4 vials that we send out. Now, this is BPA-free plastic. Where does it come from? All right, and then with the single orders of different things, this is the size that we use. Where does this come from? So, what would happen if we run out of an easy delivery system of getting the supplies that we need? Well, we can always do this, but here's something I want to point out. The material, I don't know where the paper towels come from, but I have a really good idea. Where do the plastic bags come from that I'm using? Where does the plastic tape come from that I'm using on these? So this is just food for thought, and I try to be mindful of having supplies on hand and that type of thing. But at some point, if you can't get things, you simply can't get things. Now, one thing that I know that I can do that works because I have done it is I can take a piece of paper and spray it with an energy water, and it will carry the same imprint of the water that these vials carry, that this vial carries, that this carries. So there are ways around it. Also, cloth. You know, no, I'm not going to say that. I have cloth around, but I don't have lots of bandanas around, okay? So this is just another thing to think about of what are the commonplace things we take for granted for having on hand? Now, there's been a lot of discussion about the use of medical masks or glasses that protect the eyes, or gloves, wearing gloves. And we've addressed that by saying that you can take your winter wellness combination for applying to the masks and the gloves so that you have that energy in those gloves. Now, I heard something interesting yesterday that I did not realize. When you have a mask like this that has a lighter side and a darker colored side, if you're trying to protect other people, you wear the color side out. If you're trying to protect yourself, you wear the higher color, the deeper color side in. That's the first time I'd run across that information, so I'm just passing that along to you. And I just want to share a little more information that I've come across. For instance, medical supplies. Where are those sourced from? Are most of them coming outside of our country? How about the pharmaceuticals? A majority of our pharmaceuticals come from China. 50% of the ingredients that go into nutritional products have been coming from China. What happens when when those things are not coming from China. What do you have in your plasma pantry as a stand-in if you should need it? So I suggest you spend some time on our website looking at the various things that might be useful for you in a time that there might be a shortage of getting things that you're very accustomed to having on hand all the time. We're pretty spoiled, you know it. So there's North Korea is not reporting. There is now the outbreak in South Korea. Indonesia is not testing, and therefore they are not reporting the cases of any of this type of virus in their countries. Confirmed infections have now spread to Lebanon, Egypt, Israel, Belgium, Finland, Cambodia, Spain, Sri Lanka, just among some of the nations. The numbers from these nations are currently small, but they may explode as additional testing identifies more people who are already infected. So one of the things that they said is there's a 14-day quarantine. However, now some of the statistics coming out say maybe it's a 42-day, or maybe it's a 50-day. But the other thing that's also going on is those patients who were treated and cured exhibit a second surge of the virus after another 10-day incubation period. So there seems to be a surge after the virus, after that 10-day incubation, and then once again these people become spontaneous spreaders of the virus. So that's another issue that it has just started coming to the forefront. So an individual might be considered cured and then suffer another setback. So in the country where this outbreak happened, people were told to stay in their homes, and they were confined, and that was the quarantine. But the quarantine has gotten stricter, and then maybe only one individual from the home could go out for groceries or water once a week. And that may have become stricter. It's hard to say. We don't always know what the true facts are. So in a scenario where something like that would happen, what we have to consider is, I guess I'd say, who's minding the store, okay? Who's taking care, who's watching all the services that we take for granted. I flip a light switch, I have light. I turn on a faucet, I have water. I take the garbage down to the trash can, somebody picks it up. Most of us live with that all the time, and so we just take it for granted that that's always available. I turn on my computer, the internet is there. So I would just say, are you prepared if that was not the case? And are you prepared with plenty of supplies on hand? How does your pantry look? And in this case, I always talk about two pantries. There's your food pantry and there's your plasma energy pantry. How does your food pantry look? Do you have more than a couple weeks of food in your pantry? Well, that might be something you want to look into. You know, I live in a part of the country where we had a lot of snow in the last couple of weeks, and I think we're all just thrilled to hear we might be getting another big storm in a few days or so. But to the point that when I would go to the trash can, first they were pushed way back because the plow trucks had come through the alley and they were difficult to reach. Secondly, sometimes the lids were frozen shut, and we have bear-proof lids here because certain times of the year the bears like to help themselves to the trash. And so that kind of gives you a pause of, well, what do you do with stuff if you don't have any place that people are going to pick it up? Because as it piles up more and more, and you certainly, if you've looked at all into some of the homeless situations in some of our larger coastal cities here in the U.S., you'll see that there's a huge issue with trash pickup. So just kind of think about these things and have a plan. And, you know, what do you need to have on hand just to have yourself well situated? So I do want to remind you, okay, that we've got the Winter Wellness Special this month. And Winter Wellness is a combination that I put together to address the various aspects of some of the viruses we're hearing about. That there's first the aspect of like the cold, the sore throat thing, but then the aspect of a lot of lung congestion or pneumonia type of symptoms. And there's been a suggestion that there may be frequencies in the virus that prohibit the easy treatment of viruses for those who might have medical devices that utilize frequencies for treating things like that. So Winter Wellness is a combination that was put together to address all of those things. There's a really nice testimonial on the website that I would encourage you to read about someone who's used a lot of the plasma energy and has the Winter Wellness. And then there's a video on the website where I interviewed and we talked about the Winter Wellness and the use of different plasma energies. And remember, the reason Paul and I started out several years ago with all the plasma energy was it was the answer to our question of, what if you didn't have a ready supply of everything you're used to having on hand? What would you do? What would you do if you couldn't get the herbs, the vitamins, the homeopathics, the teas, various things, first aid types of remedies? What would you do if you didn't have those available? That is how we went about answering that question and making the plasma energy. So I encourage you to look at some of our videos that do that, cover those issues, and then just look around and say, you know, have I covered issues of, do I have water on hand? Do I have accessibility to water? Do I have food on hand? Do I have those things that I like for medical needs or supplementation? Do I have that on hand? How does my plasma pantry look? And in wrapping up, remember that when you have the spray bottles, and I've taken, here's my Winter Wellness, and then I took a vial and put it in my spray bottle. Now I can go around and spray my environment completely. But the other thing I can do is if I'm going out in public, I can give myself a once-over with the spray bottle. I don't have to drench myself, but I can do a once-over with the spray bottle. And the last thing I'm going to remind you is my little attempt at trying to do the magnets differently, and I wasn't real pleased with the outcome. They're really quite pretty when light is shown on them, but these magnets are dark, and the lapis became embedded instead of sitting on top of these shungite magnets. So I will have a drawing at the end of the month for those of you who have placed orders for either the Plasma Energy Station, where you will get a free vial of the Winter Wellness, which is priced at $97, or if you get the Winter Support Package. I had made several $57 vials available. I also am making the $97 Winter Wellness vial available to you if you want that one. But you only get the choice of one vial, not two. Okay? So I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be great. If you want to share it with others, I appreciate that. And please do take the time to go to our website, plasmaenergysolution.com, and have a good weekend, by the way. So remember, that's plasmaenergysolution.com. And to look at other videos, you can see them on our website, or you can go to Plasma Energy Solutions on YouTube. Thank you.